Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the rugged and scenic forests of Alberta, Canada. This area has a humid continental climate, which means that summers are warm and winters are long and bitterly cold. The town of Valleyview lies just west of central Alberta, and the bush is only about 30 kilometers to the south. Valleyview is mostly prairie farmland, but just north of Fox Creek is a lowland forest that sits at around 2,600 feet in elevation. There is thick bush that lines the oxbows in the Simonette River. This area is covered in stands of aspen trees, which are interrupted by muskeg, which are essentially forest swamps. Common animals you might see here are mule deer and white-tailed deer, woodland caribou, moose, and 2 subspecies of wild bison. The predators of this area include wolves, cougars, coyotes, lynx, and bobcats, as well as black and brown bears. On November 13, 2016, 47-year-old Rick Hollingsworth and his cousin Rob were headed up elk hunting. I'm not sure of the wisdom of going hunting on Friday the 13th, but maybe there is some luck to be had there. Rick had an elk tag and was the only one of them with a loaded rifle. Rob was just along for the fun and to spend time hunting with his cousin. Rick had a rather unusual ability. He was a world-class jet boat racer, and in 2015 he won the Jet Boat World Championships and was planning on defending his title the following year. This form of racing involves high-intensity situations and requires quick reactions and judgment in order to be successful. The boats can race around the course at around 150 miles an hour, and even a small mistake can make a big mess. Rick was more than successful at it and described the experience by stating that the adrenaline just takes over and you need some quick reflexes for jet boat racing. Well, his reactions were about to be put to the test in order to save his and his cousin's lives. That morning, Rick and Rob had just departed their vehicle. They had hiked it about a half-mile from the road when they noticed fresh wolf tracks in the newly fallen snow. As they continued a short distance, about 100 yards ahead of them, they could see a murder of crows cawing and circling a tree. They were feeding on a carcass which was out of the vision of the 2 hunters. As they got closer to the crows, Rick began to load his hunting rifle. It only held 3 rounds, and he slowly pushed them into the rifle as they quietly slipped through the trees. They were expecting to see a wolf or a wolf pack feeding on a deer or perhaps an elk. About 40 yards from the tree above the scavenging crows, the men began to hear a very low, raspy rumble echo through the trees. They were not sure what animal would make that noise and looked at each other in confusion. It was then that the source of the mysterious bellowing noise made itself known. Rob was a short distance from Rick and immediately began yelling, "Grizzly, Grizzly!" He was slowly backing up and staring toward the tree where the crows were. As the grizzly emerged from the bushes about 40 yards away, it glanced around and locked its eyes on Rob. It seemingly made up its mind in mere fractions of a second as it dropped its head and bounded powerfully toward the cousins. Rick was taken aback when the grizzly's charge was initiated, and he waited a few seconds to see if the bear was bluff charging. By the time it had approached to within about 20 yards, he realized that the bear was not bluffing and was coming to kill the men. He fired from his hip, as he hadn't had enough time to take aim with such a close-range ambush. His bullet struck the bear square in the shoulder, which caused it to change its focus to him and away from Rob. As the bear steamed toward Rick, he quickly worked the action of the rifle and fired once more when the bear was only about 8 yards away. The bear didn't react to Rick's second shot and continued to rumble toward him like a runaway freight train with razor-sharp claws and pointy teeth. The grizzly was spraying blood all over the place and was swiping its paws in Rick's direction as it continued toward him. Rick worked the action on the rifle once more and fired his 3rd shot when the bear was 2 feet from the end of his hunting rifle. The grizzly was approaching so quickly and with such aggression that it could only swipe at Rick as its momentum carried it right past him several yards. It circled around a tree and immediately began to run straight toward Rick once again. Now nearly face to face, the bear again swiped toward Rick, but one of his shots had broken the bones in its shoulder and its paws flailed more than swiped. Rick's rifle was empty, and he knew he didn't have time or space to reload it. Rick yelled and hollered at the bear, hoping it would back down or run away. Rick was terrified and stared into the bear's massive mouth filled with long yellow teeth as it approached to kill him. The only thing he had as a weapon was his now empty hunting rifle, so he used it to defend himself. Rick poked his gun barrel as far as he could down the bear's throat. The bear initially chewed on the barrel of the gun and tossed its head to dislodge it from his throat. The bear was stunned by Rick's creative and quick reactions. It shook its head and stumbled back about 20 yards to reevaluate how to handle this situation. It had apparently not given up on the attack, as it would have simply run away if it had. Rick took this few seconds of opportunity to reload his hunting rifle. The bear was bleeding badly from the prior shots from Rick's rifle. Rick knew that he could not ethically allow an injured grizzly to disappear into the woods to an unknown fate. It may charge or even harm other people. He took careful aim and fired a fourth shot, which caused the grizzly to turn around and disappear into the nearby bush. The entire episode took a mere 10 seconds, but it seemed like several minutes to Rick and Rob. Their entire bodies were overcome with the adrenaline dump of the situation, and nearly losing their lives was overwhelming. The Alberta Fish and Wildlife did a brief investigation into Rick and Rob's grizzly bear attack. The ultimate decision was that Rick's killing the grizzly was in self-defense. No charges were filed against Rob or Rick. They indicated that the bear weighed 800 pounds, which is an enormous grizzly bear. Rick was forlorn about the bear's death, but felt it left him no choice in the matter. He had to defend his and his cousin's life. He admits that he admires bears and would much rather have had the bear survive than the outcome that prevailed. Alberta's grizzly bear population was once nearly completely wiped out, but numbers have recovered, and they now exist in much of their prior habitat. The province has approximately 856 to 973 grizzlies, and is working to grow the populations to their prior numbers. In an ecosystem that held bison, moose, and elk, grizzlies served a very important role in maintaining their numbers by predating on calves, as well as the sick and older animals of the herds. With much of the state covered with ranches and homesteads in current grizzly territory, encounters will undoubtedly increase in coming years, but the Canadian and provincial governments are working to find a balance in human and grizzly relationships. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I am left with a few questions for you. Do you think the bear was guarding a food cache when it attacked the hunters? Would such a large bear have had any problem killing the men after such debilitating wounds from Rick's hunting rifle? Did the fact that there were 2 people ambushed by the bear create enough confusion to allow the bear to be shot? What would you have done if you had the low, raspy rumble echo through the forest? I will be glad to read and answer your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.